instead of just Democrats can vote for Democrats.
So like Green and Republicans
Yeah,
can also
so
vote
if we're independent or Green in Florida, we can't actually vote in the primaries. So.
That could actually work because, let's face it, if there was a moderate instead of the two radicals we have, the moderate would win immediately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
yes, as for like the super delegate vote, I think that's something that should be, a system that is completely unfair, especially, it's anti-democratic.
Right.
And stuff of that nature, so I think it should be removed altogether because it does not make sense for corporations or people who pump so much money into these campaigns to have a bigger say in how the vote should be decided versus, regular people such as you and me, who are like, who could be delegates who are getting screwed over by this ridiculous system. And if the Democratic Party doesn't do anything to address this issue, then they could either adapt or get left behind. So it's just one of those things.
Right.
Yeah, you can either do something about it now, or you can cry later.
Yeah, especially when we take half of your support over to the Green Party.
You're right, exactly. A lot of Bernie people went to the Green Party. So, I mean, I was infuriated by it because I was behind Bernie more than I was Hillary. So, I mean, but that really answered my next question about the primaries, because my next question was about, having to be registered as a voter for that certain party instead of not everyone that's registered as over half the country is registered as an independent voter, and none of them could vote in either primary. Mm-hmm. So at least you should be, if you're independent, at least you should be allowed to vote. I mean, obviously the ones that are registered on each side couldn't vote, but I honestly think no matter who you're registered for.
Independents can't vote for the primary?
No, primaries
there's closed primaries in Florida, which means you can't, unless you're a Democrat or a Republican, you can't vote in the Democrat or Republican primary.
Yeah, because usually I am an independent voter, but I put on it that I'm a Democrat because, one, I just really did not like Rick Scott, and I really wanted to annoy him, and two, my parents told me that if you list as an independent, you're not going to get benefits from whoever's in charge of the country, because what happens is whoever's in charge usually helps out those of their party. So I just put myself Democrat because heads. And then finally, I actually have a good question for you guys, and that's about the debates. Do you feel instead of they have to have a certain amount of people for them, that both the Green and Independent parties should also be included in these debates?
Yes, definitely. I think we should definitely be included in those debates because, especially the 15% rule that says that you would have to, have that 15% rule to get into the debates. Well, how are you going to get 15% when you would need to have the media press to have that 15% to begin with? So it's just the amount of, we need to get rid of that system altogether, and we need to have it based on, ballot access. If you have enough states to win the election, then you should be more than able to get into the debates. That's how it should be.
Exactly.
So the CPD, which is the Commission on the Presidential Debates, runs this whole thing, and it's a private commission that to keep it within the two parties. And the Libertarian Party and Gary Johnson were actually suing the CPD earlier this year. The lawsuit's still going and whatnot.
Yeah.
I personally believe that at least, if not all 50 states on the ballot, at least, 5 to 10%, I think should at least be enough, to do something.
And ironically, in that lawsuit, Jill Stein was with Gary Johnson, so trying to sue them for not having that press. And I guess the judge, he shut it down, saying that, you would, it's not about, we're not going to consider you because of the fact that, it's about free, because just because you haven't had enough free press and stuff like that. But it's much more than that. Because they know exactly what they're doing by excluding people from those debates so they could continue to have this tight grip of fear and cramming down people's throats and stuff. And people, especially the millennials, they're sick and tired of it. But many of these people, especially, they're stuck into complacency. Like, they're in the middle, You know, you got your family and your friends telling you that it's a wasted vote, and then you got other people on the other side saying, go for it, what are you waiting for? You're right here to support you, and then you're just like stuck in the middle saying, which one do I go, at the cost of like, you know, of either side, and you're just like torn, you know. So, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, we got to understand that it's not the votes that pick who the president is, but it's the electoral college who actually picks who the president is.
Right.
And that's the biggest misnomer, that the popular vote decides who the president is.
Yeah, look at Al Gore versus Bush. Not to mention, one, by paper, it's supposed to be popular vote, because on paper, what it does is, it's at the electoral college, the people are supposed to vote what the majority of their area votes. They don't have to, though. That's what they're supposed to do, but they don't. But so far, that's only happened a few times, so.
Yeah.
So they do mostly follow that.
As a matter of fact, I recently read this article from, I think it was from The Hill. But anyway, it was talking about how a guy named Robert Sanctum, he recently, he said that he wasn't going to vote for Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump, and he was an electoral college voter, and he said that that Hillary Clinton hasn't done anything for the Native American people, because, as you know, there's the Dakota Access Pipeline that's currently, you know, going against a Native American treaty, the Laramie Treaty, that was signed in the 1800s. So building this pipeline would actually cause them to evacuate and leave those reservations. And they're having armed police, people with real guns, not even rubber bullets, against these peaceful protesters. They don't even have any weapons on them.
Wow.
And I think that just shows, you know, that we're living in a police state.
Right.
You know, we even have whistleblowers who are getting arrested, who are getting like 30, 40 years for speaking out against the government.
Just speaking out, freedom of speech. They
Yeah,
give
like,
that much time, really.
Yeah, like, you know, Chelsea Manning and...
Wait,
So no wonder why people are scared.
Wait, we can be
You
arrested
get
for
30
speaking
years
out,
for just
speaking
talking?
against our government with freedom of speech.
Yeah, you know, just for like exposing the truth. You know, like for example, when there was papers that showed that the NSA was collecting everything that you do online, and the
Snowden.
phone numbers and all that other stuff. And when somebody exposed that, instead of giving them like a gold medal or whatever, they just threw their butt in prison.
Well, Snowden,
Yeah,
that's
left,
weird,
right?
because that was national security and classified files. That was more important. Just going like, our government isn't doing all it can. Why did we become North Korea and start punishing people for speaking out?
Yeah, I mean, especially, you know, the thing about it is did you know that under Barack Obama, they recently brought down habeas corpus?
What's that?
Habeas corpus is a law that basically says that if you basically, you know, you have a right to I guess a fair, like a speedy trial. Yes, and they got rid of that in exchange for like you getting. So basically, instead of you going straight to the court, they just send your butt straight to the prison.
So you have no say-so.
No say-so whatsoever.
And this was done under Barack Obama?
This was done under Barack Obama.
By Obama or Congress? There's
Right.
Yeah, the Congress and under Barack Obama. Because Barack Obama, he knew about it and he didn't have it. He didn't say anything against it, and he just let it. He just let it slide.
I feel like we need to look up this
Oh, no, it's
law
a bad
exactly
decision.
to see, because
Yes, look it up.
a lot of things you hear from rumors instead of because here's what I've noticed a lot about the voters. They go purely by the TV. They don't even bother to look stuff up. They don't use fact checker or PolitiFact, which I do all the time. Because I'm going let's see who's lying today.
So,
Sorry.
Yeah.
This is crazy, but I'm right now wondering how long till the next revolution?
Well, the
Today,
revolution.
it's now.
today.
The revolution starts now. It starts.
This is
with
what we
us.
don't realize. It's
No,
right now.
Because
it's in real time.
you know that's the biggest misnomer, that after election day, you know, it's over and stuff like that. But no, the revolution starts after election day, and it starts with each and every one of us.
That's right.
Right.
Speak.
So going back to that North Dakota pipeline thing, that's a thing about my next question. about the third party is actually talking about like green and libertarian talking about problems that actually matters. So our country seems to be collectively becoming more and more polarized and separated with each coming election, more so team red versus team blue than actually working together towards a better country. We're more worried about going out to each other's rallies and causing trouble and voting for candidates that just yell at each other and try and figure out and research which people should we elect to try and help with this $20 trillion debt or the Dakota pipeline, healthcare, things that matter. So why have we become so red versus blue, do you think? What caused us to start hating each other during these elections so much?
Well, I think it all goes down to party politics and, people who are so loyal to their party that they just become, apologists for everything that they do. Especially when it comes to the Republican Party and the crap that Donald Trump says that comes out of his mouth. The Republican Party are supposed to be a party, I guess, principle,
conservative
values, family values.
And they've become radical.
Yeah.
And not only that, they've also said they're supposed to be Christians. The Pope has disowned Trump, by the way.
Yeah.
He's there too.
But Pope Francis even said, a man who builds walls instead of bridges is not a Christian. He said that during our election.
And the biggest issue is that most people don't know this, is that the biggest issue, especially with the GOP, is that most people don't know this, is that a person had to leave from the Republican Party and run his own campaign to run against Donald Trump. And you guys know
that's right, Evan McMillan, right?
Evan McMillan,
Oh, wow.
yes.
How did he not win?
Oh, he's basically, I think, working under Hillary's paycheck in a way,
He probably might be, but either way, he's still, it's another.
I mean, he was doing good in polling well in Utah.
Yeah,
he
but,
was well in Utah.
He's not.
That was like his one stronghold right there.
Brian, do you have anything to add to anything about your opinion on why? I mean, we used to work as a unit, and now we're we're coming more and more separate.
I guess right now a lot of it is fueled, I think, by the mainstream media. It's all pitted against each other. So you have CNN, NBC, all those who are pushing for Clinton or just anti-Trump in general, which some of it's justified, but also a lot of it is just
speculations. Like I said, a lot of people don't actually research.
Exactly, and so all of that is that's the only way people are getting their information. A lot of people,
right?
And with that being just pitting against each other, Hillary and Trump, which is Republican, Democrat, that's going to cause a lot of the people to have these disputes and things more than usual, I guess. So,
I have a question that is basically the founding question, like the founding statement of Trump's party, and no, it's not about a wall.
Hope not.
No, we all know that ain't gonna happen. Next campaigns, right? What do you think of Trump's accusations that Obama and Hillary founded ISIS?
So, I guess founded ISIS is probably just not true, but they had some, of course,
if you want to say...
Basically, you got to read between the lines.
Yeah,
Something is being said.
Yeah, he's not totally off base there, but it's, of course, obviously not directly their fault, but they're indirectly involved with the power vacuum that was created.
Yeah, the power vacuum, but
the Middle
Trump
East.
Literally said
no,
I don't mean that. I mean
exactly.
they literally found ISIS.
There's a lot of chances for him to become more sophisticated with that statement, and he did not, so...
Yeah,
it was not.
The power vacuum, we asked government, we the people did ask Obama, can you please take the troops out of Iraq?
Yeah.
We did that, ISIS stepped up.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're all blaming Obama when we asked for this.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about it is about, the problem with Trump, especially, is that he has every chance to come off as a rational person.
Yeah, exactly.
But anything that comes out of his mouth, it just seems so completely off balance, you know.
Yeah.
So the fact that he says that Obama and Hillary founded ISIS, that's completely
you don't have any basis for it.
That's a blatant lie because but they did contribute to their growth
Yeah.
Right.
that they had, to this day, because
Funding.
ISIS was basically a
Right.
subsidiary of Al Qaeda, and Al Qaeda was formed even way back, when under
Like Reagan.
Ronald
Yeah.
Reagan,
The
when he started
Mujahideen.
making deals with the Mujahideen, and also with Margaret Thatcher and several other people who, especially
Even though they were
there's
working
an
with
article
Osama
on the
bin Laden.
Independent that labeled Osama bin Laden as a
Peace-
freedom fighter.
Yeah.
So that and he was also a CIA agent. So that just shows you that
Yeah.
You
Trained by the
should-
United States.
yeah, you
Oh
shouldn't.
yeah, we basically
Many
did the
of
same
them.
thing in Iraq as we did in Cuba, and sent CIA agents to train the Taliban to take the force Russia out. And now it backfired on us with
Yeah,
It was.
yeah. Also,
A lot of things.
especially with the thing about Syria and Hillary Clinton want to put a no-fly zone over Syria. Especially,
Well, no, that's because of the Russians are bombing it.
well, it actually goes back to a deeper thing. There's some competition with oil.
Mm-hmm.
There's two pipelines that are running. One that is backed by the U.S. and another one that's backed by that's backed by Russia. And so, yeah, and you could look this up too, because this is it's crazy stuff, but that's what it's all about.
It's a game.
It's all a game, and they're playing people. They're letting poor people and middle class to fight a rich man's war. And that's pretty much what it is.
So,
I
I
just
just
get paid.
I just
That's the
have
question.
one more pretty extensive question right before, while we wrap this up. And before I do that, I just want to make a funny comment that I think it's funny that there's so many people that are voting for Donald that are against the Amendment 2, which is voting against, that's to legalize medical marijuana. And they're voting against it when they're voting for a guy that's probably done so many drugs to say all this stuff. So I just think that's funny. But my last question of the day is just fast forward to 4 years in the future. How do you think the third party, like the Green Party, the Libertarian Party, have helped themselves this year to push for better things in the next election? Because in 2012, very few people knew the names of Jill Stein and Gary Johnson. This year, the knowledge of them has definitely and obviously spiked immensely, but people still think, even though their names are out there, it's still a wasted vote. Have they grown enough to make bigger impact 4 years down the road to where people will consider it less than a wasted vote and more so of, okay, this is a legitimate candidate, I will sit aside or not vote for a party, but vote for an actual person because he or she is tackling the issues that really need to be taken care of and not just because there's a donkey or an elephant on it.
Definitely. I mean, especially considering the fact, it was all inevitable. It was just a series of events that just set the precedent for this revolution that you see today. For example, the first guy that I could mention was Bernie Sanders, and especially how he basically, with his positions of pushing radical progressive change, it fueled the hearts of many people. They could see that vision and they could envision that as like a brighter America and stuff like that. And people want that same vision. And, it's lacking under Hillary Clinton. That's why Donald Trump is he's still filling up 20,000 people in stages and stuff like that. And so it also comes down to this, we got WikiLeaks, we got Julian Assange, we had, a lot of the bombshell that happened, especially with the DNC colluding against Bernie Sanders' campaign. All of this set the precedent to where we are now. And now that we have Democrats who are switching over to Green or Libertarian, it definitely sets the precedent that we are a force to be reckoned with. And that, in 2020, if we, that's the thing. That's at the end of this day, when the election is over, if we get that 5%, if both sides get that 5%, I'm not sure if the Libertarians would take the federal funding, considering their ideologies, but if they do, and stuff of that nature, dude, 2020 is gonna be the most exciting election probably in American history, because we have because we would not only have the funds to have a whole bunch of people run state, running at the low levels and all that other stuff. We could have a chance at making huge impacts within our community and stuff like that. You would see you probably might actually see a parliamentary system if people put their ego aside and their their party loyalty aside for the future of this nation. Then we could see like a parliamentary system of libertarians, Greens, Republicans, and Democrats all in Congress.
This is the hope. This is what we're hoping for.
Well, don't worry. This will happen if the candidates, the Democrats and Republicans, keep going as they are. Because this is going worse, worse, worse. Really, how'd you get these guys?
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, at this point, they're just scraping that barrel.
Yep.
Yeah.
But guys, unfortunately, we have to let you guys go because we have these two guys segments, John Johns and our buddy Mo is going to give us.
Yeah, but thank you guys for coming to.
I could talk to y'all personally for another hour, but that's just me.
That should be another show.
But also, like I would like to before I go, I would like to say that it was an honor and for you guys inviting us here,
of course,
and talking in your radio show.
Yeah,
and also, if you want to check more about our club, you could go on Facebook, type in GPA HCC, go on Twitter, type in GPA HCC. We're the first ones to look at. We got that hand logo. People say like, what's that? What is that logo? And I say, yeah, it's a hand because we're reaching out. That's what it's all about, reaching out to people.
No, just make it a turkey. Say you're following Benjamin Franklin.
Turkey.
Right,
once again, let's give up for the Green Party.
Thank you.
Once again, that's Francisco Pierre, the president, and then the vice president, Brian Greenbaum.
Thank you guys so much for coming on.
Let's take a quick break right now, and we'll play some Coldplay right now, Hymn for the Weekend.